What happens when you steal gold from the wrong man? A man the Russians call immortal. A man who single-handedly killed over 300 enemy soldiers. A man who refuses to die no matter what you throw at him. This is the story of one Nazi general who found out the hard way. This is Sisu. The story begins in 1944, Finland, during the final stages of World War II. The war was nearing its end, and soldiers from all nations were returning home. The Nazi army was ordered to leave Finland. However, even while retreating, they didn't hold back from causing destruction. They moved forward by completely destroying every road, bridge, and settlement in their path. Meanwhile, in the dense forests of Finland, we see a commando named Korpi. Korpi was exhausted by the bloodshed of war and wanted to leave the fighting behind to live a peaceful life. After the war ended, he began living alone in the forest with his loyal dog and his horse. Then, one day, while wandering through the woods, his eyes fell on some glittering pieces of gold in the river. Seeing this, he realized there must be a gold mine nearby. After this, Korpi started going there every day and began digging. He didn't care at all that fighter planes were flying overhead. After many days of hard work, he finally found a massive amount of gold in a pit. Tears of joy came to Korpi's eyes because he knew his life could now change completely. He hid the gold in his tent and stayed awake all night guarding it, fearing someone might come and steal it. The next morning, Korpi packed all the gold into a bag and set off on his horse. His loyal dog followed closely behind. After a few hours of travel, he encountered Nazi General Bruno, who was moving forward with his soldiers. Bruno had a dangerous tank and several Finnish women with them, whom the Nazi soldiers were taking by force. The soldiers were exploiting those women to satisfy their lust. During this, we see a Nazi soldier named Wolf, who is forcing himself on a woman. Korpi saw all of this with his own eyes but didn't want to get into trouble. So, he ignored Bruno and his companions and kept moving. Within moments, Wolf raised his gun to kill Korpi, but Bruno stopped him. According to him, this old man was already very close to death anyway. After going a little further, Korpi saw many corpses on the road. The killers of all of them were Nazi soldiers. But this didn't bother Korpi because during the war, he too had killed many people just as ruthlessly. Moving ahead, Korpi saw a truck with 4 Nazi soldiers. They told Korpi to get off his horse. Then their eyes fell on Korpi's bag. Based on suspicion, they opened the bag and were stunned to see the gold. Korpi realized these people would loot his gold and kill him. Therefore, he first told his dog to run away. Seeing the dog run, a soldier fired at him, but the dog managed to escape somehow. After this, a soldier tried to fire at Korpi, but Korpi pulled out his knife and struck him in the head, killing him instantly. Now the other soldiers also attacked him, but Korpi killed them one by one with his knife. He used one soldier as a shield to protect himself from bullets. When one remaining soldier tried to grab him from behind, Korpi twisted his hand and shot him with his own gun. When Bruno and his companions heard the gunshots, they went back to investigate. But by then, Korpi was gone. Bruno saw that his entire squad had been killed. At that moment, he saw a piece of gold in a soldier's pocket. He realized that the old man had killed his men and possessed a lot of gold. Now, Bruno decided to hunt Korpi down. A little while later, he saw Korpi on the path and immediately started firing from his tank. Seeing this, Korpi increased the speed of his horse to escape quickly. In the process, Korpi entered a minefield where the Nazi soldiers had laid many mines. At that moment, Bruno ordered his companions not to shoot and said laughing that this old man would blow up on his own in a few moments. Suddenly, Korpi's horse stepped on a mine, causing a massive explosion, and Korpi was badly injured. His horse lost its life in the blast. Bruno arrived and saw Korpi picking up his gold and putting it in his bag. But Bruno stopped there and just watched Korpi. The truth was, he didn't want to risk entering the minefield to get the gold, so he began waiting for Korpi to die. Now, as soon as Korpi picked up the gold, Bruno ordered his soldiers to kill him. But Korpi was no ordinary soldier. Along with the gold, he picked up a stone and aimed it directly at a mine, causing a massive explosion. Taking advantage of the smoke from the blast, Korpi hid. The Nazi soldiers started firing into the smoke to kill him, but Korpi kept moving, using a shield for protection. After a while, Bruno sent a soldier to see if the old man was dead. But then, a mine flew and landed near the soldier, killing him instantly. Bruno sent 2 more soldiers, but they too were killed in mine explosions. Once the smoke cleared, they realized Korpi had escaped. Seeing this, Bruno was fuming with rage. Now he decided to cross the minefield using 2 Finnish women as shields. Wolf brought the most terrified women and told them to walk in front of the tank. Meanwhile, Bruno inspected the area and found Korpi's dog's tag. A while later, as the Nazi soldiers were crossing the minefield, Bruno used the radio inside the tank to find information about Korpi. He received a warning from the head office that the old man he was chasing was named Korpi, and if they were looking for him, they should stop immediately. The officer said, "You are extremely lucky to be alive after a face-off with Korpi." In reality, during the World War II, Korpi was considered the most dangerous commando, and no one wanted to mess with him. Bruno also learned that during the war, Russian soldiers had brutally killed Korpi's entire family. After losing his family, Korpi had changed completely. He became so dangerous that he even disobeyed the orders of his senior officers. Eventually, he started hunting Russian soldiers alone in the forest. Since then, Korpi had killed more than 300 Russian soldiers by himself. Finally, the officer told Bruno in plain words that most people consider Korpi immortal, and going after him is like inviting death. But Bruno didn't care much about the warning. He decided to continue the pursuit. In truth, the Nazi army was going to face severe punishment after losing the war, and Bruno wanted to use that gold to pay bribes and escape his punishment. Because of this greed, he wanted to snatch the gold from Korpi at any cost. Returning to the story, we see Korpi again. On the way, he saw a burnt truck and hid behind it. He used a knife to remove the bullets lodged in his body, and, groaning in pain, threw dust on his wounds to stop the bleeding. Soon, Korpi's dog arrived there too, but Korpi signaled him not to come near, so the dog kept his distance and watched him from afar. Now, due to heavy blood loss and exhaustion, Korpi fell asleep. Within a few hours, the Nazi soldiers reached that area. Hearing them, Korpi woke up and saw the Nazi soldiers using tracking dogs to find him. Sensing the situation, Korpi immediately hid under the truck and watched their every move. As soon as the Nazi truck arrived, Korpi secretly crawled under it and cut the fuel tank. Soon, petrol began dripping onto his body, which masked his scent, leaving the dogs with no clue of his presence. Forced, the Nazi soldiers came up with a new idea to catch Korpi and set up camp there. A little later, when Korpi tried to leave, a dog suddenly spotted him and started barking loudly. Because of this, the soldiers' full attention shifted to him, and they began raining bullets on Korpi. During this, a bullet hit Korpi directly in the leg. Still showing courage, he escaped from there. Seeing this, Bruno released his dogs after Korpi. To save his life from the dogs, Korpi set himself on fire and jumped into a nearby lake. The soldiers were still firing blindly at him, but Bruno stopped them and waited for Korpi to come out of the lake. A long time passed, but Korpi did not emerge. When he tried to come out, the soldiers started rapid firing and he went back under. In a few moments, he spread blood in the lake water so everyone would think he was dead. Thinking this, 3 Nazi soldiers took a boat to the middle of the lake to retrieve the gold. One soldier entered the water, but Korpi suddenly grabbed him and killed him with his knife. Soon, the surface of the water turned red with blood. Seeing this, Bruno sent the second soldier into the water, but he met the same fate. Now, the third soldier was terrified and tried to flee with the boat, but Bruno shot him in anger. At that moment, Korpi suddenly emerged from the lake and, using the third soldier's corpse as a shield to avoid bullets, escaped from there. Then Bruno's eyes fell on Korpi's dog standing by the lake, crying helplessly because he couldn't reach his master. Looking at Korpi's dog, a new and dangerous plan formed in Bruno's mind. On the other hand, after walking for several hours, Korpi finally reached a city. But the city was completely deserted. Now Korpi was beyond exhausted, so he decided to rest for a while inside a gas station. Enduring the pain of his injured leg, he was trying to sleep. But meanwhile, that terrifying day flashed back in his mind. The day he lost his entire family. Anyway, after much struggle, Korpi fell asleep. But a little later, he was awakened by the sound of his dog barking. Upon waking, he met his dog, but at that same moment, he realized a horrifying truth. Korpi saw that a stick of dynamite was tied to his dog's body. Without wasting time, he untied the dynamite and threw it away. But at that same moment, a loud explosion occurred. The blast threw Korpi to the ground, and he lost consciousness. When Korpi woke up, he saw Bruno standing in front of him, and now Korpi was in his captivity. Bruno snatched all his gold and intentionally left a small piece in his pocket. Finally, Bruno decided to hang Korpi, but Korpi was still not dead. In reality, to escape the hanging, he had balanced his foot on a nail fixed in the wood. After this, Korpi slowly balanced his other foot on the wood as well. He was in great pain, but in this way, he saved himself from the death noose. Meanwhile, his loyal dog sat nearby, silently waiting for his master to come down. The whole night passed this way. At dawn, a plane landed there. The strong wind from the plane broke the rope tied around Korpi's neck, and he fell to the ground. A little later, 2 pilots came out of the plane looking for fuel. Then their eyes fell on Korpi and his dog. One pilot told his companion to shoot them both, but the second pilot hesitated out of fear. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Korpi suddenly attacked the pilot's legs. The pilot lost his balance, fell, and hit his head hard on a stone, losing consciousness. The second pilot was moving forward, but Korpi quickly picked up a brick and attacked him. At this moment, Korpi felt that he might never get his lost gold back, and he buried the small piece of gold Bruno had left him in the ground. But then his eyes fell on the second pilot lying unconscious because he was still alive. From here, a new plan formed in his mind. He decided to reach Bruno with the help of this pilot's plane to get his gold back. But before moving forward, Korpi pulled out the metal pieces stuck in his leg and, without caring about the pain, cauterized the wound with fire and tied it tightly with a wire. Seeing all this, the pilot was completely terrified. After this, Korpi left his loyal dog there and set off alone in the plane to find Bruno. On the other side, the Nazi soldiers saw a crashed plane on the way. Wolf went inside to investigate and saw that the pilot had died instantly in the accident. But then, Wolf's eyes fell on the rope around the pilot's neck. This was the same rope they had used to hang Korpi. Seeing this, Wolf realized that Korpi was still alive and would surely return to take his revenge. Bruno also knew that Korpi was no ordinary human. Because of this fear, Bruno ordered all his men to leave immediately. After this, we see 2 Nazi soldiers sitting in a truck with some Finnish women talking about Korpi. Hearing them, a woman named Aino started laughing. Aino told them that Russian soldiers had also tried to kill Korpi many times, but to this day, no one has been able to finish him because Korpi escapes even the biggest trouble and then finds and kills his enemies. She further explained that in the Finnish language, Korpi is known as Sisu, which means courage and bravery, and now that same Sisu would end them all. As she said this, a strange joy appeared on her face. Suddenly, Korpi attacked a soldier and threw him out of the truck. When the second soldier came to look out, Korpi grabbed him and dragged him down, where he was crushed under the tank like a bug. Meanwhile, Aino tried to pick up a dead soldier's weapon, but then Korpi entered the truck. Seeing the women of his country there, he realized the Nazis had imprisoned them by force, and they were all innocent. So Korpi handed the weapons to them. After this, he climbed onto the roof of the truck and threw the driver out after killing him. Now he asked Aino to drive the truck so she could help him. Aino was taking the truck close to the tank, but the people inside the tank became suspicious. Therefore, all the women used the dead soldiers' bodies to hide the truth. Then, Aino took her truck near the other truck. There, all the women rained blind fire on the soldiers in the truck, killing them brutally. They also shot the truck driver, causing the truck to veer off the road on its own. On the other side, Korpi was trying to break the tank's hatch. Suddenly, Bruno stopped the tank, causing Korpi to fall. Seeing this, Wolf came out of the tank to kill Korpi, but Korpi quickly climbed back onto the tank, and a massive fight broke out between him and Wolf. During this, both fell to the ground, and now only Bruno and a soldier named Shirts remained inside the tank. That soldier was trying to flee to save his life. Meanwhile, Korpi beat Wolf so badly that his bones were shattered, but before Korpi could kill him, 2 Nazi soldiers arrived on a bike. Recognizing Korpi, they fled in fear. The surprising thing was that Korpi did not kill Wolf. He left him alive and took the bike to chase the tank. Here, Wolf was also thinking that the monster left him alive. But soon, the Finnish women arrived there to take their revenge on Wolf. Meanwhile, Bruno met a pilot and planned to escape in his plane. The pilot told him there was only enough room for 1 person in his plane. Hearing this, Bruno ruthlessly shot his own companion's Shirts and flew away in the plane. But suddenly, Korpi arrived and started heavy firing at the plane. As the plane was taking off, Korpi immediately got under it and grabbed onto it using his small pickaxe. Above, Bruno thought they had left Korpi behind, but without wasting time, Korpi grabbed the plane's wheel and entered through the same path, reaching the floor of the bomb room. Hearing noises from inside, Bruno became suspicious, but the pilot said the plane was very old, which is why such sounds occurred. However, Bruno's suspicion did not fade. To know the truth, he decided to go toward the bomb room himself. As soon as the door opened, Korpi suddenly pounced on him, and a terrifying fight began between the two. Due to his deep wounds, Korpi was weakening, and Bruno was overpowering him. But Korpi was not ready to give up. During this, Bruno attacked him hard with a metal belt, but Korpi grabbed that belt and tied it to a bomb. The next moment, that bomb fell out of the plane, and with it, Bruno also fell. With a massive blast, Bruno's game was over. Now Korpi wanted peace for a while, but then, the plane's control faltered, and it was tilted sharply downward. Then Korpi realized that while fighting Bruno, the pilot had also been shot, resulting in his death. Now Korpi had no way to escape. He held his gold tightly and prepared for his death. In a few moments, the plane crashed directly into a swamp. During this, soldiers of a Finnish unit saw a Nazi tank moving toward them and prepared for an attack. But shortly after, they saw that inside the tank were Finnish women who were bringing the Nazi soldier wolf tied on top of the tank. On the other side, we saw that Korpi's life was saved, but he was badly stuck in the swamp. Using his small pickaxe, he somehow managed to come out. A few days later, we see him arrive at a bank in Helsinki with his loyal dog. Seeing Korpi, the people inside the bank were quite terrified, but Korpi ignored everyone. He went straight to the counter, placed a piece of gold on the desk, and asked in a powerful voice, "How much money will I get for this?" If you made it all the way to the end of this brutal story, hit that like button and subscribe.